Hi, everyone. Welcome to our charter review meeting. Today is Wednesday, January 27th, and it is officially our last meeting for this review. So congratulations to all of you for being so present and committed and helping do this important task, which we only get the honor of doing every 10 years. So congratulations for everyone who was appointed, everyone who has given feedback, who has presented their recommendations, and who has voted in a very amicable style, and the discussion has been great throughout the past 8 months. So that being said, let's start with attendance, and then we'll move on to discuss sections 9 and 10, which are very, very brief, and we also have members of the public here who would like to speak. So we'll begin with attendance. Judith Garcia present. Leo Robinson. Calvin Brown. I know Calvin Brown is joining us, so I will mark as late. Melinda Vega Maldonado.
Here.
Todd Taylor had to be absent today. Rosemary Carlisle.
Here.
Yesenia Alfaro. Yesenia Alfaro. Okay. Absent. Henry Wilson.
Here.
Alex Barcalcel.
Present.
Mary Burke.
Present.
Jason Stalker.
Present.
Charlene McLean.
Present.
Miriam Rakentor.
Present.
Excellent. So that is all for attendance. Now we move on to the public speaking portion. Public speaking portion. Anyone online that wants to speak? Okay. Public speaking portion. If you can please state your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Manuel. I am a Chelsea graduated in class of 2019. I don't know if some of you remember me. I was here for the movement of getting outside graduation. My address is currently, I have 2 homes, and I'm going to explain why. I live both in 2 Nickel Street in Chelsea and also in 910 Birch Lane. My sister, who has a 2-month-old baby, I helped her through the pandemic. I moved in with her for half the week to always help her with the groceries. Her husband lives with her, but he always goes to work, and he works 10, 12 hours a day. Half the other time I'm spending it in Lynn with my mother. My mother and 2 of my sisters in Lynn, they suffered greatly from the pandemic. 2 of them nearly died. One of them had a cardiac arrest. She was dead for 4 seconds, but luckily the doctors were able to bring her back. My other sister, she has diabetes, and she was in the hospital due to COVID-19 for a month and a half. It has been very difficult, and that is the reason why I currently live in 2 addresses, but I plan to fully move into Chelsea in the coming days. I love this city. I moved into this city when I came from El Salvador. I have great pride for this city. I grew up here for the rest of my adolescence. I was able to go to Chelsea High School and to be involved with a great community. One community. That is the reason why I'm speaking here, because last meeting there was a vote for a recommendation that I made to allow non-citizens but residents and members of the community of Chelsea to vote. And unfortunately, it was the majority voted no. But I want to make some remarks. I want to let you know that I will keep on working on this because I keep on working for justice. And that is what I believe should be served in the city of Chelsea. Because in the beginning and in the creation of this beautiful nation, the founding fathers fought because there was taxation without representation. And that is exactly what's going on here in Chelsea. Members of the city are being taxed, but they are not being represented because they were not born or do not have citizenship. Yet they pay taxes to the city, and they send their children to the schools, and they are members of the community and keep on working to better the community of Chelsea. yet there's still no representation for them. That is the main reason why I am here today, because I want you to think to yourself, what are we doing here if we're not really fighting for justice? If we're telling members of the community that they do not deserve a representation, they should be allowed to stay in Chelsea and be able to speak their minds and be able to vote their elected officials. Because there's not two Chelseas, there's not two communities, there's only one. It's us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public speaking? Let me see if there's anyone online. Okay, so there's no one else online and there's no one else present for public speaking portion, so that portion of the meeting is now closed. And now we move to discussion of section 9 and 10. So we only have one matter that was presented to us for section 9. I will be fully transparent. This was, as you all have in front of you, this was a matter that had come before us in previous sections that we voted against. But for full transparency for the public who is watching and joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Comcast, it's important for me to read it, and we can take a vote based on how you feel about it. So, Section 9, General Provisions, from Sarah Neville, Section 9.3, add ranked choice voting to the definitions of Section 9.3 to read as follows. Ranked choice voting. The words ranked choice voting shall mean an election system in which voters rank the candidates for an office in order of preference, provided, however, that ranked choice voting shall only apply to a ballot on which there are not less than 2 candidates. Each voter shall cast a single vote by ranking candidates in order of preference, indicating the voter's first choice, second choice, third choice, and continuing until the voter has assigned a single numerical ranking to each candidate on the ballot or until the voter chooses to stop ranking. If one candidate receives at least 50% of the first choice votes cast for the office in the election, that candidate shall be declared the winner. If no candidate receives at least 50% of the first choice votes cast in the first round, an instant runoff shall automatically occur. In an instant runoff, the candidate receiving the least number of votes in the prior round shall be deemed to withdrawn candidate and shall be withdrawn from the election. The highest ranked non-withdrawn candidate of each voter shall be the voter's first choice vote, and such first choice vote shall be used in calculating the total number of votes for each remaining non-withdrawn candidate. The instant runoff process shall be repeated until the candidate shall have received at least 50% of the total first choice votes cast for the office in the election, and at such time the winner shall be declared. A ranked choice voting ballot shall not interfere with a voter's ability to rank at least one write-in candidate. So that's what's presented for us for Section 9. I'm sure all of you are familiar with this, which was presented to us previously. So is there any discussion on the matter? No discussion on the matter. Okay. So we can go for a vote. If it's a yes, is you agree with the recommendation as presented. If it's a no, then you do not agree with the recommendation as presented. So we move on to voting. Begin with Judith Garcia. No. And Leo Robinson?
No.
Calvin Brown? Calvin Brown?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Melinda Vega Maldonado?
No.
Todd Taylor is absent. Rosemary Carlisle?
No.
Okay. Yesenia Alfaro? Absent. Henry Wilson?
No.
Alex Barcalcel? Mary Burke?
No.
Jason Stalker?
No.
Shirley McLean?
No.
Miriam Rackentor?
No.
Okay. So we
voted
have
for.
majority no, 2 absent. Recommendation denied.
Can I vote?
I'm sorry?
I
I hear
was just
Cheryl.
saying, I grew up in a city that does ranked voting. It works for citywide voting, not necessarily district by district, but it's not horrible, everybody. And it's probably going to come back your way one day. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl. So, guys, so just for everyone, that was it. We have no other sections, any other recommendations that were submitted either by this body or anyone in the public. So now I am going to, I see some hands up there. So Mary, go ahead. You're on mute.
So I'm not asking for anything necessarily formal, but I'm making a suggestion that now that this process is concluded at this level, I know it has to go on to other processes, but it would be worthwhile for almost as if we had a after action debrief to discuss what worked and what didn't work on the process of reviewing the charter, especially because we walked into this, and Judith, you did a phenomenal job, you and Cheryl, but you walked into it with no historical documentation of any process prior. And so we don't want to leave the next generation 10 years down the road with having to create the process as they go, similar to how we had to do it this time. So I'm suggesting that there needs to be an after action debrief, discuss what worked, what didn't work, and record it so that 2030, which is only 10 years away and it goes fast, we actually have something to build upon.
Yes, I absolutely love that suggestion. I think it would be helpful not only for the chairperson, but also for all members of this body, which is a very diverse group. It's not only city councilors, school committee members, key stakeholders, but it's also residents. So I think that manual and that guide to provide some sort of guidance would be incredibly helpful. I found myself to be very fortunate to be surrounded by senior members here who have served in the past, but also Cheryl Watson, our city solicitor, had been here prior as well, so she was a great person to turn to for advice on how things were done before, and of course I tweaked it to fit my style and specifically this group and the time here, right? Because 10 years ago, there was no pandemic. So I agree with that, Mary. So let me follow up on a day that works for everyone in terms, we might do it on a Wednesday at 6 p.m. Because it's a time that it seems that works with everyone's schedule so far. And I love that you bring this up because I'd like to cover next steps. And this next steps are, I've compiled a record of everything that was discussed and how we voted. And I'll be preparing a final packet to present to council, but I won't present it to council until everyone has a look at it. I want everyone to see what we did, so I'll be sending that shortly. I'll have it early next week. And the idea and the goal is to present this to council by February 22nd, which would not be it's not our next meeting, it's the following meeting. So it'd be right in the middle of February, giving everyone time here to rest and hopefully tune in when we present this. So that's on my end. Expect the final packet from me next week, and also expect some follow-up on the debrief because everyone here did an incredible job. So that's all on this end. Anyone else have anything that they like to say? Okay, well, Jason, I see your hand.
Can you discuss a little more in detail when it goes to council? Are they keeping it for like 2 sessions? Will they have it ahead of time, and so they'll be asking you questions based on why we voted voted in favor of something moving forward? If you have any more details on that process.
Yeah, definitely, and I can rely on Cheryl on this as well, but I'll give you a bit of my portion. The portion is, I'll compile the packet very similar to what you have in front of you, but I'll edit it to just reflect what we voted in favor of, because that's what we'll submit as a package. I send it to the, to our administrative assistant. She will include it into the agenda, and that's where we present it. And of course, as a chairwoman, I'll come and say, this is the packet. But if they have further questions, I'll let Cheryl talk a little bit of what that process has been in the past.
So normally what happens is the recommendation of the Charter Review Committee submits it to the City Council, and then the City Council sets up a subcommittee to discuss the recommendations. You are all invited and the public is invited. A lot of what you voted on, though, is appeared to be more grammatical and some housekeeping ideas. So once the council reviews it, they probably will go to subcommittee. I mean, this committee was just to review and make recommendations. A lot of your recommendations don't change a lot of the way we function as a city. So they may simply move it to a public hearing. They can't adopt anything without a public hearing. So this process is just, we reviewed it. And as the charter states, we didn't even change that section, right? As to who should be on the charter review committee. But it's up to the city council. They may read it, send it to public hearing and vote on it. But most often they want to understand what you said, why you said what you presented, and they go to subcommittee of the whole.
And
That's what they're doing.
And I'll also mention this, if they do move it to subcommittee, we'll make sure to notify you with weeks in advance so everyone can make it if you're all interested in attending. So that'd be great. Anything else that's pending? Any questions? Yes, that's actually, that's a great, so if anyone heard, Leo's asking for attendance, and that's something that, thank you for pointing that out. That's something I've been taking constantly, so I'll also be submitting attendance. So thank you. Anyone else? Rosemary. You're on mute. Rosemary, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to say what a pleasure it was to serve on this committee with the people I didn't know that I got to know, Mimi, Charlene, Jason. I knew you were around the city, but I'm glad I got to meet you, and I'm glad you made your voice heard here in the city of Chelsea. That's what I like to see. And I think we all did a fantastic job bringing this to the table, to the city council, and I'm very proud of myself and all of us that we did this. I mean, we didn't have to. No one broke my arm to get on the committee, but I wanted to be there to see if we can make changes. And I think we did a wonderful job. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Rosemary. I agree. Everyone did great. So if there's any more comments, going once, going twice. Well, thank you, everyone, for serving. It's been an honor to serve alongside of you, and I look forward to keeping in touch for our debrief and hopefully creating a guide for the future generation. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.